seed. That's why God plants you in adversity, when He wants you to grow. This is The Seed, keeping you motivated on the road to greatness. Dreams do come true if you keep your faith in God. Work hard and accept the people that God places in your life to help you get to the next point. Get ready to be inspired, motivated, and become content on your journey. This is The Seed, and this is your host, Damian Young.
All right. Well, good afternoon, everybody. We are back once again with the seed, and we just want to put before you once again what the seed is about. The seed is an inaugural podcast curated to guide, motivate, and empower you both in your personal and professional life. It is designed for ordinary people. This show aims to encourage individuals to develop a successful mindset by providing the tools and knowledge to achieve growth and sustainability. Everyone has goals, and even on our best days, we will get discouraged, frustrated, and want to give up. We believe the seed within us is greatness and perseverance. Listen as this podcast encourages individuals to overcome adversity and ignite their full potential, sharing advice on how to design your ideal career, while also providing tips on how to improve productivity and positivity. It's designed to provide guidance and resources alongside of finding balance between your personal and professional life. We aim to inspire your journey this morning towards greatness within your everyday life. If you're aspiring to elevate your potential, listen to discover a new perspective today. And today it is a new day and everything, and so it is a new episode of the Seed. And today's episode of the Seed is that the purpose we're doing this episode is to encourage people to stay motivated when life shows up and where to find real life motivation. This episode is all about a real life wife who gets married to the man she can finally trust, and in their marriage encounters unforeseen events. What do you do when life shows up? And how do you stay motivated when life shows up? It's all about what about when your wedding vows are put to the test? To have and to hold from this day forward, for better, for worse, for richer, for poor, in sickness and in health. To love and to cherish until we are parted by death. This episode, the title is we're talking about staying motivated when life shows up. And I have here this afternoon Jen Hadley. Jen, do you just want to tell them hi this morning?
Hello. Hi.
All right, all right. Well, first of all, Jen, we're just going to talk a little bit this morning, and we're just going to talk a little bit morning about your story, and then we're going to go into your story, and then we're going to go into what happened and everything, and how you're staying motivated in real life this morning. And so, there's a couple of questions that I want to ask you this morning, and the first one relating to your story and everything. What was your life like before you met Jesus?
Well, I've always loved Jesus ever since I was a little girl. Um, my life before I really knew Jesus was chaos. Um, I didn't feel guilty about my sins, my addiction to money, power, drugs, everything I was addicted to. I got baptized in 2005 during a prison sentence that I had. Um, After I was baptized, I realized that I started feeling guilty for my sins. I had this little voice saying, you could do better, pushing me to want to do right. Um, the people I was around, the people that I put myself around, I would still talk about Jesus. It wasn't till really my husband's accident that I really took the time to focus on Jesus.
Okay. 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 So, question two is that we want to ask you this morning how you realized that you needed Jesus.
I realized that I needed Jesus because he was always there for me when I would talk to him. I would cry out in my addiction. And I know he was because he put people in my life. He put the right people in my life. When I would fall, I would get a phone call from somebody, at a church or praying for me, or I would pick up a book and it was exactly what I needed to read. There was ways that he communicated with me.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about those ways that he communicated with you.
Well, reading a book. I've read The Purpose Driven Life. I've read so many help self books, Joyce Myers.
Okay.
And reading them books always brought me comfort, a sense of peace,
Okay.
than reading a hood book or a murder book. Or I always felt a sense of peace that
Okay.
that I was loved and that there was more to what the life that I was living.
Okay. Tell me a little bit more. I've shared with you a little bit about my testimony and everything, and I when I hear anybody talk about the purpose-driven life, I always smile because that was the book that God used to convert me in my life and everything. And so, what was it about the purpose-driven life for you? I feel a connection there.
The Purpose Driven Life was a 40 days of reading, and each day it talked about finding your purpose. What you know people people get scared of turning to Jesus because they're not holy enough. I felt the same way. Oh gosh, I can't cuss, or I can't give up all these things all at once. And I've become they become habits, bad habits. And it's hard to just stop a bad habit all at once. It- you know um I didn't feel like I could feel them shoes, but I always knew Jesus loved me no matter what.
Uh-huh.
And every prison set I did, I learned something about myself. I didn't get out and just turn to religion and never mess up again. I would do good for a long time, and every time it changed something about me. Every
That's right.
time I learned something good about me, that my choices don't have to define me, and finding a purpose in life of sometimes, like, we feel our purpose is, okay, well, I have felonies, I can't do this what I really love. But God will find a way. God will find a way to feel that and to give you that purpose.
That's right.
And every book I've read, every self-help book I've read, it everything has taught me something to either help others. Even when I was doing bad and I was in the streets and I was committing crime, I still prayed. I still helped homeless. I still would try to do the right thing. I still had that good birdie and that bad birdie. And sometimes that bad birdie won, but that good birdie was still always there, and that's Jesus telling me, don't give up. Don't give up.
So, when did you commit your life to Jesus?
When my husband had his tragedy, I really committed my life to. For 10 months, I worked a little minute mart job I had to get because we had our own business and I couldn't do it. I got a little minute mart job and I went to work. Before work, I would go visit my husband in the skilled nursing home that was neglecting him. And before work, I have to make sure he was changed. I have to make sure he was good. I'd go to work. After work, I would go straight to him. Um, and then I would go home and I would watch Jesus movies. I wouldn't listen to rap. I wouldn't listen to R&B because I needed him to prune me. I needed him to dig them roots, bad roots out, and help me plant new roots. And I'm not saying I never fell again or I never, you know, distant myself again, but I would always go back. And in 10 months, I got so close to Jesus that he led me to get my husband out of a skilled nursing home. I was neglecting him. No, it didn't magically appear. I had to do the work. But I would pray, give me the strength and the courage I need every day to make sure he was safe. If it's your will, take him. If it's not, let him get off that ventilator. Let him breathe on his own. And I'm willing to give him to you, Lord. If you want him, you take him. But if not, give me the strength and the courage to fight for him. And he answered my prayers. I had to push to get him off a ventilator where I knew he could breathe. And it was me taking the time to really pray and to meet other people that like you, Pastor Damien. I found you. And God, all it took was God bringing someone at a minute mark that I knew to say, hey, contact Pastor Damien. He'll come pray with Darren. And he just brought the right people in my life. But I had to seek it.
That's right. That's right. So, the last question I'm going to ask as we finish up your story and everything, what would you say is the difference that Jesus has made in your life?
He's taught me how to love myself and be proud of myself. And for once, give me a purpose instead of just doing the same things. I didn't run to self-sabotage. I didn't run to go numb my problems. My husband needed me, and he needed my faith and my persistence. And all them years of going to prison and what I went through in life, I wouldn't change it because it made who I am today, and I didn't give up. I was persistent. I fought for my husband. I fought, and I'm going to fight for him every day against the medical field of he's just a vegetable. You know, he'll never have a quality of life. Pull the plug. That's not my job. That's the Lord's job, whether he wants him or not. And I've learned to love myself and appreciate myself and want better for myself than just my past life of criminality and prison. And, you know, not to say that I didn't learn anything from there or I didn't learn about myself, because I did. But where it's really at is real life out here going through real problems. When tragedy hits, we can do treatment, we can go to treatment, we can learn how to not use, but when real life hits, there's coping mechanisms that we need to know, you know, not to just run back to that. Real life, I learned how to get a job. I learned how to network the right people, ask for help with communities. You know, I printed out 500 flyers of my husband saying, please pray, with God, all things are possible. And I'm not going to stop because we need each other, people. We need to help people. We need to help. Helping people helps us.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to switch from your story and that remarkable transformation that's happened in your life and everything. And I want to move to a place this morning and everything. Well, we're talking about a wife's love because that's really what our topic today is about and everything is a wife's love. And I'm going to read a couple of passages of scripture and everything. Proverbs 31, starting in verse 10, says, "Who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is far above rubies. The heart of her husband does safely trust in her." And so it lets us know that, you know what, this virtuous woman is no other than a wife, that the heart of her husband does safely trust in her, so that he shall have no need of spoil. She will do him good and not evil all the days of her life. She seeketh wool and flax and worketh willingly with her hands. She is like a merchant ship, she bringeth her food from afar. She riseth also while it is yet night, and giveth meat to her household and a portion to her maidens and everything. Meaning that she just wasn't an ordinary wife and everything, but that, she had a household and had maidens and everything. She had people under her charge and everything. And that she considered a field and buyeth it with the fruit of her hand. She planted a vineyard, meaning that she was more than just a wife and everything, but that here it is that she had enough money to buy a field and everything, and not only that, but she'd buy it. It wasn't her husband was not standing over her like, oh well, I need to oversee that, but that she had a good mind and everything to be able to consider a field and buy it with the fruit of her hand. She planted the vineyard. Meaning that, can you imagine seeing a field? She had vision. And she had vision because she considered that field. And so she's seeing that, hey, that I can plant a vineyard here. And not just that, but she girded her loins with strength and strengthened her arms. She perceiveth that her merchandise is good. Her candle goeth not out by night. She layeth her hands to the spindle, and her hands hold the distaff. She stretcheth out her hand to the poor, like you talked about, Jen. Yea, she reacheth forth her hands to the needy. She's not afraid of the snow for her household, for all her household are clothed with scarlet, meaning that she wasn't like in these winter seasons and everything. She wasn't scared that winter had come. But it says she maketh herself coverings of tapestry. Her clothing is silk and purple. Her husband is known in the gates, meaning she didn't have any old kind of husband. But he was known in the gates when he sitteth among the elders of the land. She maketh fine linen and selleth it, and delivereth girdles under the merchant. Strength and honor are her clothing, and she shall rejoice in time to come. She opened her mouth with wisdom, and in her tongue is the law of kindness. She looketh well to the ways of her household, and eateth not the bread of idleness. Her children arise up and call her blessed, her husband also, and he praiseth her. Many daughters have done virtuously, but thou excellest them all. Favor is deceitful and beauty is vain, but a woman that feareth the Lord, she shall be praised. Give her of the fruit of her hands, and let her own works praise her in the gates. Proverbs 18 and 22 says this morning. It says that whoso findeth a wife findeth a good thing and obtaineth favor of the Lord. And so we know that as a woman and everything, that you go through stages to becoming a wife. The meeting and the romance, the marriage, and then the day-to-day life in marriage. The role of a wife in a marriage is essential to bringing positivity and to keep the family stronger. Husbands need love, compassion, care, respect, and support from their better half to push their limits and achieve their life goals. Your love and encouragement can be his power. I thought that was, I was looking up a definition of a wife and everything. And the reason I like this one is because it talks about her love and encouragement can be his power. And from talking with you yesterday, I really felt like that's what you were doing in Darren's life and everything. You said lighten a fire.
Lighten. He
Yes.
said it. He said it in
Oh,
a video. He said, I met my wife and I was down and out and I was depressed and I wasn't doing nothing with my life. And he said, Jen came in my life and she lit a fire in my,
yes.
and I did. I built, he needed to feel confident just like I needed, we both, it takes both. And sometimes some people don't have they need that encouragement, that ego boost. You know, he needed to feel good about himself to make the right decisions. If we don't feel good about ourselves, we're we're not going to make the right decisions. You got to feel good, and you got to have somebody that is right behind you, wanting the best for you. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and we got into our first condo together, and he, you know, in his name too, and he was so happy. He never had, you know, he had a place in his name one time when he was younger, but he was always living with the girls, and they were kicking him out. And he said he finally, you know, had a business. He finally was doing his music, you know, had all his own equipment, and we were building together. And, you know, 3 months after we were married, asthma, the tragedy happened. And we hadn't even got to have our big wedding yet because of COVID, you know. But
So tell us a little bit more about, let's go into that aspect. What happened after marriage?
after marriage, um, well, it was 3 months after we were married and we had our business. We moved to Vancouver in a condo. Um, it was great. You know, we were a good team. And my family loved him. It was the first guy my family's ever really liked. And he has asthma. And, you know, Darren would always use his emergency inhaler instead of his steroid inhalers. And I had got on him about using the steroid inhalers, you know, and um, he had one asthma attack when we were together, and I had to take him to the hospital, but he walked to the car. We got to the hospital, and they give him a steroid. Take a steroid, go home. So I had been out for the day on Saturday day, and I had called, and he said his asthma was acting up, so he was doing that nebulizer. And I said, well, do you need to go to the hospital? No, no, no. So, excuse me. On my way home, I called him, and I said, do you want Taco Bell? And he's like, yeah. And he was still doing the nebulizer. So I got Taco Bell, and I walked in, and I said, okay, you know, do you need to, let's go, let's go. And he's like, no, not yet. And he was doing the nebulizer. And it wasn't like he wasn't, you know, he was like just, you know, controlling it. Well, about an hour and a half goes by, and he finally says, okay, Jen, let's go. So I went out to the car to plug in his nebulizer to the car. And we live about 5 minutes with traffic to Peace Health. And he walked out to my car, and he got in, and on the way, he said, Jen, the heat's on. Jen, the heat's on. And I said, oh. So I shut the heat off, and I rolled down the windows because my husband also has MS. So he doesn't like heat at all. He's always hot. So I rolled down the windows, and I'm like, do your nebulizer. And he said, I can't. And I'm about 3 minutes from the hospital by now, and I look over, and he's just unconscious. And I said, okay. In my mind, I said, do I pull over and give CPR, or I can get to that hospital in less than a minute. And I did. I hit 100 down Mill Plain, and I called 911, and I said, please have people outside. My husband had an asthma attack. I don't know if he's breathing or not. He's just unconscious, looks like. I pull up, nobody's outside. I have to, you know, and I pulled up, and I smelled rubber on my car. And I run in to get somebody, and the first thing they say, you know, is it an OD? No, it's an asthma attack. They walk out, they find a faint pulse. So he didn't go into cardiac arrest until he was inside the hospital. On the way back, they lost the pulse, 8 minutes of CPR, and 2 epi shots, the epinephrine, because his airways closed. So when you have an asthma attack, your airways close like you're having an allergic reaction. So really, anybody with asthma should have an EpiPen, because if their airways close, you can open them airways up with the EpiPen, and it gives you long enough to get them to the hospital. They induced coma, and they hyperthermiaed him. On the third day, they're calling me, pressuring me to pull the plug, that my husband will never have a good quality of life. I went up and talked to them, you know, about it. They never showed me any brain images. They never showed me nothing. So when I went back on Monday, I asked the ICU doctor I said, can I ask you a personal question? I said, do you believe in Jesus? I said, you don't have to answer me, but do you believe in Jesus? And she looked right at me, and she told me, no, I don't. Right then I knew, I'm not letting you pull the plug on my husband. I'm putting it in God's hands. Do a peg tube and a trach. It hasn't been long enough to see what he can do. Tragedy hit so fast, I didn't even know what to do. I slept in my car that night in the parking lot because they wouldn't let me in with him because of COVID. The only time they would let me come see my husband is if I talked about end of life. That's not right. How can I put my husband's life in somebody else's hands that don't even know him? You know, I can't even see him unless I talk about end of life. So my old ways came up. Okay, we'll talk about end of life. I'll manipulate you guys so I could see my husband. I did what I had to do to see my husband, but I was never going to let them pull the plug on him. From there, no. He's showing him some emotions. From there, they only said I had one option, and that was a skilled nursing home. They didn't tell me I had any other options. I had to seek and find, and I got on an anoxic brain injury survivor group on Facebook that saved my life and his. We're a family, and it's everybody going through the same thing. And they give you all kinds of advice because they've been doing it. And hold on one second.
Okay.
So I had to fight. I had to fight every step of the way. The nurse, he hears us talking.
Yes, he does.
The nurse, okay, hold on, baby. I'm gonna finish this real quick, okay? The nurse did not like that I knew a lot of things, and she judged me automatically, and they made me go for guardian of my own husband, the skilled center, because I was calling them out on their neglect. I was there all the time. And I prayed, God, send me somebody to help me. Send me somebody to help me find a good place for my husband, a good home. And he blessed me with Georgette's elder care. And Darren was her first vent patient. And when we got him here, 2 days later, he didn't need the vent no more. I knew he could breathe, but they were holding me back from it because, they get $30,000 a month for a vent patient. So why take them off the vent? Why try? It's the government, society. Why? They get $30,000. Why? But God had other plans for Darren.
Okay. So what is it like? What is life like for you and Darren now?
Well, his tragedy has been a blessing in a way. Yeah. It's given me a purpose. It's made me. It's brought different people into my life. Seeds of greatness. My anoxic brain injury survivor group. People call me and they ask for advice. What did you do to help Darren? Not contract, or because they can contract. You got to do their physical therapy every day. You got to move them, and the state isn't going to give you that because they're not following commands. So I do it every day. I come and I move my husband, and God just keeps giving me the strength to keep going.
Okay. You said tragedy. Can you expound a little bit more upon that?
Tragedy is when tragedy hits, death, coma, cancer, and your family member's laying there and they need you. A lot of people get too busy in their life, or they don't have the time. A lot of people are distant. They don't have the time. They're busy in life, and I get it. But sometimes we got to put other people before us, and by doing that, it fulfills something in your heart. It causes that seed to grow by helping other people.
That's right.
The seed gets watered. The seed grows. Darren's parents are 80 years old. I can't expect them. to come and do what I'm doing. And I'm always going to do it for Darren. I'm always going to make sure he's cared for. I would do it, now. I would do it for anybody because I found my purpose by helping others. Waters my plant. It waters my seed, and I grow and I get more confident in myself, and I like who I am, and I like the way that it makes me feel. It's kind of almost like an obsession now, but no, I don't know. It's hard to explain. There's not. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's days I cry, and I'm sad, and I go through my okay. Did I make the right decision? Because it was a decision put on me so quick. We never even talked about end of life yet. I've only been with my husband a year and a half. I didn't really know him all the way yet. It's not like we were together for 20 years. And I was put in a decision to make a decision, a really an important decision. When my guilt came up, and I could never even make good decisions for myself. How am I supposed to make a good decision for somebody else? So I prayed and I got on my knees and I said, God, please let me do something right in my life. Let me do one thing right. Let me make the right decision for Darren.
Okay.
And he does.
Amen. All right.
Sorry.
I heard you using language and seeds of greatness and everything. Um, Talked about planting that seed and all that good stuff and watering it and um, in seeds of greatness. I've been sharing with you how our strategy and everything and the 5 steps that we like for people to take and everything, and that is to explore, get planted, to grow, to produce and reproduce and everything. And we've talked about this, and you shared with me. You said, "Well, I'm exploring." And some of the things that I wrote down, what you talking about that you're exploring is that I said, well, Jen, what does that mean to be exploring and everything? Because I know what it was like for me exploring and stepping out to plant seeds of greatness as a church and everything. And for me, that was scary and exciting. It was just seeing where things were going to go and everything. For me exploring, I said, it was, stepping out on Genesis, the 12th chapter and everything, stepping out on nothing, but stepping out on his word and everything, you know? And for me, exploring, that's where our phrase came, explore what it looks like to follow Jesus. You said exploring to you is exploring a new life without falling. It's unconditional life. It's strength and courage. It's leaning on God's promises. It's being more aware of his surroundings. It's praying for your husband. Um, it, it, it's now exploring is that you have to be a caregiver, a wife, and a nurse. That part right there is what I think a lot of women want to find motivation in. Because I've heard other women, and they've talked about those really different parts in everything.
A mom, yeah, a
There you
counselor.
go. Uh-huh. And breaking those parts down and everything. And so I know that, hey, women have more parts that they feel like, hey, I have to be this part over here, that part over there, and this part over here and everything. And I heard that clearly when you spoke it yesterday and everything when we were talking and getting ready for this and everything. And so you said that you realized that you needed Jesus to get through what you were going through. That is it safe to say that even as that's what you're trying to communicate here today and everything is that, you know what, I've needed Jesus to get through what I've been going through. I couldn't do it without Jesus.
And it's not just Jesus, it's the people he brought in my life, like you, all my other church sites, people that understand. Maybe they haven't been through it, but people that will pray with you, people that will help me learn about Jesus more. I don't know the Bible by heart. I listen to the Bible. I watch the Jesus movies, and the Jesus movies really make me know more about God. Like, they help me because I see it. But it was the people that I seek, the people that I knew I needed.
Okay. Okay. So we're going to move to this place now, um, because it's all about staying motivated when life shows up. This is the part that, you know what, because we've all been through situations in life. And so somebody is watching this morning and everything, and we got to get to that because remember, the seed, it's all about helping people stay motivated on the road to greatness. Here it is. You've shared with us your road to greatness and everything. That yes, there was a tragedy along the way and everything, but you know what? You've stayed on that road of greatness and everything. And here it is. You said you reached out to a lot of people asking for prayer, but what's keeping you motivated through this all? How do you find motivation to get up through this all? And those were the questions that I asked you yesterday. The first one you said that, how do you stay motivated through this all? You said number one, God. Can you break that down for us a little bit more this morning? How can somebody stay, they're like, well, what if they don't believe in God? You know, what can you tell somebody that probably don't even believe in God that, why should I, you stay motivated because of God?
I stay motivated because every morning I get up and I say, okay, Jesus, give me the strength I need for today. Um, okay, Jesus, let me do something right in my life. Help me open doors. You knock, you shall find. You seek, you shall find. You knock, the door will be open. Just talk to him. You don't
That's right.
have to believe in him yet, but just talk to him and put yourself around other people that do believe in Jesus. And you will see that their light will shine on you. Their faith will grow. They will help you plant that seed and water it. It's
That's right.
all about the people and helping you. Like, no, we can't just say, okay, I don't believe in Jesus, and say, okay, one day I'm just gonna pray every day. You got to have the people. It takes people. Like God says, love one another. I truly believe he wants us to love one another because we're all supposed to help one another. It's not that I'm never gonna fall. It's not that I don't do any sins. I'm human. I make mistakes. I still struggle with certain things.
That's right.
But by having people in my life that help push me to greatness, right? To help
Right.
push me, helps me not get lost. It helps me pick myself back up. I still struggle with things that I don't want to do, like things that are bad habits. Okay, cussing or certain things,
That's right.
lust or bad music or but I just keep praying, okay, it's getting better and it's getting better.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Thank you for your transparency with
Thanks.
that. Um, you said number two that you wanted to do this right.
That I wanted to what?
You wanted to do this right, to be a good wife. Why is being a good wife important?
Being a good wife, just like being a good husband, is important.
That's right.
You need both. You need to be a good husband. You have to have a good wife. And to be a good wife, you have to have a good husband. You have to nourish each other, water each other. You have to, yeah, reciprocate. both. I wanted a husband that helped keep me on the right path. That kept saying, okay, Jen, that's not a good choice, or think about that before, whatever. And a good wife's supposed to build her husband so they can build together and they can have a foundation that's strong. Not that it's not always never going to be no arguments or whatever, but like with Darren, he would, I'm the more aggressive one. I'm the more loud one. He'd go, Jen, is that necessary? Come on, Jen, it's going to be better tomorrow. Things will be better. Just let it go. And instead of, calling me names and getting mad at me for my feelings, he was my good other half that helped me not go there, you know? And that's what I needed. I needed somebody that would do it in a finesse way and do it in a way where I didn't feel like he was authority, or you better do this, or, he didn't escalate it. Like, and
Okay.
I've always wanted to be a good wife and a good mom. And I wasn't a good mom at times. I was young. I was 16 when I had my kids. And I wasn't. But that doesn't mean I can't be. It doesn't mean I'm not trying to be a better mom now.
That's right. All right. We're still talking about what's keeping you motivated through all this. Number three, you said help somebody come back to life.
Goes back to the water in him. Anybody. He helped me bring me back to life. You know? Anybody in life. Like even with my mom. I try to uplift, anybody, people on the streets. A lot of my friends have always told me in the past, like every time you come around, you lift me up, you make me happy, your energy is good. And that's all I want to be. I just want to be that good energy for anybody.
That's right.
And my motivation is seeing the progress, seeing what Georgette's building with more vent patients, helping her with her first vent patient, get more vent patients to help, because families don't know there's a good place that is like a home, that your family members are loved and taken care of.
That's right. That's right. I heard you say, and this will be our last, that you were told that he'll never have a quality of life, but you begin to say that he has life.
Like,
Tell me about that.
he's breathing on his own.
That's right.
He's not declining. He's not, kidneys aren't failing. He's breathing. His heart's good. It might not be the quality of life he wanted, and this might not be what he wants. But until he can tell me what he wants, and I believe I can get him there, then I will honor what he wants.
Mm.
But I believe, and I've seen it. I see the progress, and I'm gonna seek, I plan on getting him. I'm gonna run a hyperbaric chamber, and I'm gonna do the hyperbaric chamber sessions, the oxygen, the pressured oxygen. I do the red light. I do essential oils. I move him. I exercise him.
Uh-huh.
He's here. Like, I want to get him a wheelchair van so I could take him out.
Okay.
And then, I just kind of put it in God's hand. God, your will be done, and help me help him.
Okay. And so you said a wheelchair van.
Yeah.
What I've heard you, talk about this before and everything. And so
Well,
like I
like,
said, there's a lot of people are going to, watch this and everything and be moved by this story and everything. And what is this wheelchair? What is the? You said a wheelchair van. What is this?
well, yeah,
What would you,
because
if somebody gave you this? What would it do for the quality of life of you and him?
Well, he'd go everywhere with me. I don't care. I would take him to normal things that he did, his family, his doctor's appointments. He's got an MRI of his spine for his MS to see if it's, progressed, and to get a ride because it's over in Oregon and we're stuck in Washington, right now because that's where we're living. But his doctors were Kaiser and it's in Oregon. Ride to Care don't want to come and get us because it's out of state, which it's right by Oregon. Getting him to the doctors is hard. I have to get it approved. I got to get a specialty. Medicaid don't offer him just rides. It's a hassle. And like I got him acupuncture. I had to pay for the acupuncture, plus I had to pay for a ride through a handicap service that cost me $160 just to take him 5 minutes up the road. And he can go in wheelchair. He's just cognitively, Darren isn't cognitively responding all the way yet. You've seen he makes noises. He was trying to show his emotions. Stimulation. The brain can rewire through neuroplasticity. And neuroplasticity is repetition, moving him, doing things that he was used to, and by getting him out and being able to take him to church, being able to bring him around people, being able to get him to the specialty things that I want to do.
Okay.
And I can't afford to go out and buy one.
Okay. So what I put up is that I put up your name and your email so that if somebody's viewing this or they know of anybody that has a wheelchair van that they would like to donate, that they can just reach out to Jen Hadley at bosslady503 at icloud.com, that they can reach out to you that way and everything if they want to help assist. Are those the only needs? The only needs? What are some other needs and how people can just help the quality
Just
of life?
pray. I got a job here with Jetta doing all the cleaning and cooking and here helping taking care of my husband. So God blessed me with a better job where I could be around my husband and have a job to make money. So prayers, I am going to rent him a hyperbaric chamber monthly because I want to do it for a couple months and see if it works. I've heard amazing results. I did start a GoFundMe, but I never posted it because I haven't felt like I've needed it yet, Yes,
Okay.
the wheelchair van, but I was going to wait until after the holidays to post it. I'm not used to asking for help with things. Prayers, yes, I ask for prayers all the time. And to come by and visit Darren. I don't care. Anybody can come and pray with him. You have the address, share it. I don't care if we're strangers. I don't care. Come pray because every prayer helps.
That's right. Okay. So we'll do that. Um, Before we end, is there any last anything that you would like to share with anybody about staying motivated when life shows up?
Just don't give up. Even if we try every day. Sometimes we get down and we're like, things aren't happening. I can't get my license, or the courts are keeping me from getting my license, or I can't get a good job because of my criminal record. Just keep trying and keep seeking and network, because there are people out there that can say, hey, I know this person, and get you a good job. Don't stop seeking. Don't stop trying, even if it's a little bit. Just keep knocking and the door will be open, and keep seeking, because even if you make a mistake, don't let it define you. Get back up. Try again. Just keep trying, because we're human. And Jesus loves us no matter what.
That's right.
Don't stop. And don't stop trying to help other people too, because even by helping somebody, even if it's a conversation, you never know how much that could help that person.
Okay. All right. Well, I want to thank you for um, being very courageous and sharing your story. I've always been very blown away. I couldn't say any other word by meeting you and Darren and just being blown away of how you stayed motivated when life shows up, a wife's love. Truly, that has blown me away, seeing the way that you care and love for him and everything. And that truly is the definition of a wife and everything. And so it's a beautiful thing. And I just want to thank you for coming on here and sharing your story today. You know, truly that has been a blessing. And so we're just going
Thanks
to
for
end it
having
right
us.
here. Thank you. Thank you. And truly, it has been another dynamic one. And so we just want to thank you once again for tuning in to The Seed. We don't say podcast, but we say a Godcast. And one of the
Podcast. I like
reasons that
that.
we say a Godcast is because we believe that the same way that the world can have a podcast, that, hey, if they can do it, then God can cast what he wants all around and everything. And so here it is. We thank you for tuning in to The Seed again. It is truly about helping people stay motivated on the road to greatness. So we just believe that you heard something along the lines of how you can stay motivated. And so that was our sole purpose and goal in mind today. And so we thank you for, man, just viewing this episode and have a awesome day. Have an awesome day. Thank you for, man, just tuning in. Thank you. And bye bye.